All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at the Hi-Capa shell HPA adapter from Tapp Airsoft. All right, so I really like this adapter, and I'm going to kind of give you a full overview and some review on it here. So basically, obviously, as you can see, it's a very low profile, and that's one of the biggest things that this has going for it. So if you put it into your Hi-Capa, it doesn't stick out that much. It only sticks out a little bit farther than a 5.1 magazine, about an extra inch or so more than a typical 5.1 magazine does. So it's not that big of a difference from running green gas, as far as the size is concerned there. And obviously it uses shotgun shells, so any of your standard spring shotgun shells are going to fit. Typically they're going to be 30 rounds. You can get 10 and 15 rounds, but I don't think there's any more than 30 rounds that you can get right now in a shotgun shell. What that gets you is the standard capacity of a gas magazine, but in HPA, with a line that's connected, and you can easily swap them in and out. It does feed into a single stack feed up there, so there's no going back and forth between single and double stack like you'd have with some HPA adapters. And then to release the shell, you have a pretty short paddle here. And it pops out. You do lose 2 BBs every time you pop it out, but there is a BB retention to hold on to pretty much everything else. So right here, this side is the BB retention, and then this side is the spring ejector. So it does eject out with force. You're not going to have to fumble with trying to remove it when you're reloading. All right. And then the small paddle release is a big deal because it makes it very difficult to hit it. So when the shell is in there with tension on the shell, it is almost impossible to accidentally eject the magazine. You have to actually use some force to eject it. And then on the back here, you do have 2 holes. These are to persuade the line to go either direction, either right or left. You don't need to use these anymore to prevent the line from hitting this, because this is short enough that it's not a big deal for the line hitting it. But you used to have to persuade the line so it doesn't accidentally hit. But they've updated this, so this is a lot better now. And then, so you do have some really high quality HPA quick disconnects on here. So these are CNC machined. They're a lot nicer than your traditional typical connectors that you have on pretty much any other adapter. And then you also have a good fitting up here as well, CNC machined. So pretty high quality there going on. And then this whole adapter is pretty much 100% 3D printed, except for pins and fittings and stuff like that, springs as well. So basically that does also mean that the gas chamber is a 3D printed gas chamber. There's not a metal chamber in this. So this is very lightweight, but the gas chamber is small. So you do need to run this at a decently high PSI. They don't recommend anything over 130. They tested it up to 130, and it ran just fine up there, and that's about where I run mine. But over 130, it's kind of at your own risk, because they didn't test it over that. So try to keep it under 130, but you do need a high pressure because the chamber is so small on this thing here. And then the bullet valve here, this does sit good. It sits far enough down that it's not an issue with messing with the firing pin. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick. But it also doesn't sit too far in for it to not get enough hit on that. So it's in a good position on here. So there's no real reason to replace this or unscrew it or modify it. And they they do highly advise against taking this apart. And I have not taken it apart because I'm not sure how the the fitment is. I don't want to mess up any fitment because it works flawlessly right now, and I don't want to mess anything up. And they recommend the same. They recommend not to take anything apart on here. And they do have 3D printed feed lips, so it is going to be plastic up here. These are not replaceable, like with normal feed lips, obviously. But I assume if you break it, there's probably some way to replace it. It looks like it kind of puzzles together there. Then this is very light. As I said a second ago, I'm gonna weigh this. So now you can find the true weight. I will just go ahead and zero it again just in case. And then we'll set it on there. So you're at 74 grams unloaded with all the fittings all on there. So pretty lightweight, a lot lighter than your gas magazines, obviously. And then a lot lighter than pretty much any other HPA adapter as well, because most HPA adapters use the metal magazine, but with an adapter at the bottom. This is a complete magazine that has been completely redone. Sort of into my opinion here, I do really like this. This is my favorite HPA adapter right now. Reason being is I am primarily a green gas player because I like having the lower capacity with the low profile. I do not like having a giant thing hanging off my gun, and I don't like having a bajillion rounds. So like M4 and MP5 adapters, I really don't like those just because of how big they are, how bulky they are, and it kind of feels like God mode, like you pretty much never run out of ammo. Whereas with this, you actually have to worry about taking your shots and stuff because you only have 30 shots per shell. So it makes the game a lot more fun because it actually matters now how good of a player you are. And that's just something that I like. It's something I enjoy. I know that's a personal thing. Some people like the God mode. I just personally do not like the God mode that you get with the larger adapters. And then yeah, again, it's it basically converts it to your standard capacity. A normal Hi-Capa like short mag is going to be about 25 to 30 shots, which is what you get in a shell. You can get extended gas magazines that hold more, but obviously at that point you're getting to the length where you might want to use an MP5 adapter instead, or an M4 adapter. This keeps you down at the very short length. With the HPA, that you don't have to keep disconnecting and reconnecting. This is a thing that was very common a long time ago when when HPA first started to come out. People would just put an HPA valve on the bottom of their magazines in place of the gas fill valve, and then you would just constantly be swapping your magazines, disconnecting, reconnecting lines back and forth to do HPA. That's kind of almost gone away, except for people who want the low profile. So some people still do that nowadays to keep the low profile because that's kind of a choice. This kind of will fix the biggest issue with that way of doing HPA, because it will allow you to keep the line connected. Disconnecting and reconnecting line is really annoying, and that used to be the only way you could run a super low profile magazine. This is very unique, at least right now. Hopefully it'll become more common because I do really like this. But right now I'm the only person I've seen like in real life actually use this. Nobody at my field uses this. Nobody at like any of the outdoor fields use this. It's just me, and it's always like a conversation starter. They're like, "Oh, what the heck is that?" Because it is very unique. It's very cool, and everybody always wants to check it out and look at it because it is very different. Nobody else really has this right now, and that's hopefully that'll change, because I would like to see a lot of people adopt this, because I really like this, and I want this adapter for like all my guns. I want a Glock one, I want an AAP one, obviously. I don't really have any other pistols right now. I would have want one for the MMP, but I don't have that gun anymore. But I want to see this progress. I want to be able to get this for all of your pistols, because this is really cool. And now let's get on to the improvements from the older version. So I did pre-order this. The pre-order version was way different than this version is. The pre-order version had a lot of issues. I did actually send it back, and I got a replacement one. I do have the replacement one I have here, and the replacement one had a lot of improvements over the pre-order version, but there were still some issues. So on the older versions, you had to use a screw in the back here to persuade the line. If you did not persuade the line, it was extremely easy to lose your shell. Just watch this. It's super easy. That is not something that you can really do anymore on these ones, which is definitely amazing. Basically just changing the size of it significantly did enough of a difference that is no sorry, it did enough of a difference that is no longer an issue that you have here, which is super nice. because it kind of looks kind of weird having to do that. Whereas if it's like this, it's a lot more free, and it doesn't look as weird, in my opinion, personally. And then on the older versions, you did also have to, at least in my case, I always had to replace the bullet valve, because the bullet valve that came with these kind of stuck out too far and was causing issues with striking it. So I always had to replace the bullet valve on mine. So if you're having any of these two issues on your earlier version of the shotgun shell adapter, I recommend obviously the screw to prevent that from happening, and then also replacing the bullet valve with like a 9-ball valve, which is a little bit shorter and it sits in there a lot nicer. The older versions did have the metal chamber, so you could go up to a lot higher pressure, I believe. I ran mine at very high pressures. I'm not going to tell you what pressures they were, but I definitely needed a special regulator to go as high as I did in some cases. But I think with this plastic one, they've kind of increased the size of the gas chamber, as you can probably see there. So you get a little bit more air, I believe, in this one. I haven't checked, obviously, because I don't want to mess anything up. But I don't have to run this at quite as high pressure as I did the old version. Yeah, and I mean, the old version did have your normal Hi-Capa Philip. That is not on the new one, because the new one is kind of as you can see there, it's kind of part of how the design is. It's two separate pieces there. But yeah, that's just kind of comparing it to the old one there. You also did see how the HPA fittings are way different. Like you kind of your hardware store fitting versus a CNC machined one, and same thing at the bottom. You got like your hardware store and then your fancy CNC machined going on there. Now, going on to next, I'm going to talk about shotgun shells and how I carry them, because I'm not like a shotgun player. I don't really use shotguns, so this is kind of a shift in the way that I do my gear. So I use these shotgun shell cards. So you can get these in many different amounts. So you can get like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different lengths. I run the 6 shot version of the cards. These basically have Velcro on the back. So this is the hook side of the Velcro. So you can hook these onto the loop side of Velcro. So basically on my chest rig, I have a loop Velcro on my chest rig that I slap these onto. And I actually run 4 of these cards just in case. I know that's a lot of shots because it's 30 shots per shell times 6 and then times 4 because I have 4 of these cards. So I got more than enough ammo for pretty much any situation. And basically how I do these is these cards fit perfectly in M4 magazine pouches. You just have one shell that sticks up outside of the magazine pouch. So basically I have one on the front of my chest rig Velcroed on, and then I have one in each of my 3 mag pouches. And then basically I just go through the shells, and then when I run out, I just throw the empty card into the dump pouch, and then rip out a new card and slap it on my chest rig, and I'm good to go for another 6 shells of 30 shots each. So that's how I run the shells. And these are, you can find these on Amazon. They're very cheap. You get all different colors. I got green because my chest rig is green, so it kind of matches. And then obviously you can do shells. You can do pretty much any shells with this new adapter. With the old adapters, they were kind of picky, but this new adapter, I haven't found any shells that don't work yet. There might be some, but so far all my shells, I have a lot of shells. All of them work just fine in this, whereas they didn't used to work good in the older versions of the adapter. Right, and then the gun that I've been running this in, I'm kind of going back sort of old school. So this is the gun that I use it in. This gun, 7 years old. First, like the slide and the grip are 7 years old. This is the first Hi-Capa that I ever got. I had this custom made through Cloud Airsoft, and then since then I've kind of rebuilt it many times, and just how it currently is. And I run this just iron sights, fiber optic iron sights, no tracer, no light, no red dot. I just run it like iron sights. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of going back with the 30 shots and iron sights. It's quite fun. It's a bit of a challenge, definitely, compared to a lot of other people. And I just find that fun. And it's cool because not a lot of people play like that anymore. Everybody uses tracers or flashlights nowadays, and it's you don't see a lot of people just running upgraded Hi-Capas, but just kind of plain. And this is 100% custom. There's not a single stock part on this. And then I have been using the neck speed hop-up chamber in there. I really like it. I have not had to adjust this hop-up chamber since I set it, and I've been running this quite a bit the past month or so since I got that hop-up chamber. Basically, I set it when I decided this was the gun I was going to run it in, and I haven't adjusted it since, and it has stayed true the whole time, which is pretty nice. So I recommend you check out that video. I'll have that a link up above maybe or below. I'm not sure. And then I do need to clean my gun. As you can see, it's pretty gross, but it runs just fine. So I'm just gonna leave it be because I'm lazy. But that's about that. That's about all I have to go over here. I definitely do recommend this. These are $130 on their website. Let me pull up the page. So the picture is different, but it is the same. It is this adapter. It's just the picture is the old picture. This is what the pre-release version looked like. It's $129. It's called the Hi-Capa shell HPA adapter. But yeah, that's about it. I don't have much else to go over. I hope this video was useful for you guys. And yeah, I really hope I really like this. I hope some of you guys give this a chance if this is piquing your interest, because it is very unique and very cool, and it works good. So yeah, that's about that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if this video was useful for you. And make sure you check out the link down below. That is a link to our Discord server, and you are welcome to join. All right, have a nice day.